What would make your own brothers want to kill you, then sell you like you meant nothing? This is the story of Joseph. Joseph's brothers hated him so much that they tried to kill him, and when they could not succeed, they sold him to Egypt. But here's the truth. Their hatred didn't start in one moment. It was built slowly over the years, and was triggered by different reasons. Sibling rivalry is nothing new. It started with Cain and Abel, but Joseph's story, it was different. It wasn't just jealousy. This was a slow-burning hatred, years in the making. A perfect storm of favoritism, pride, family tension, and destiny. Jacob had 12 sons from 4 different women, and right there, you already have a broken foundation. The mothers were 2 sisters, Leah and Rachel, and their personal maidservants, Zilpah and Bilhah. From the beginning, this family was divided. Different mothers, different loyalties, constant comparison. And right in the middle of it all, Joseph. With 4 different mothers, you'd expect chaos between everyone. But strangely, all the hatred was focused only on Joseph. This didn't happen overnight. It started with something glaring. First, he was the favorite son of their father. Joseph wasn't just loved, he was clearly, openly, undeniably the favorite. Jacob gave him special treatment and special attention. Why? Because he was the son of Rachel, the woman Jacob loved the most. And Jacob didn't even try to hide it. He gave Joseph a special gift, a beautiful, dazzling coat of many colors. Do you know how hard it was to dye clothes in those days? Back then, colored clothing wasn't normal. It was expensive, rare, reserved for royalty. Think of all the trouble Jacob would have gone through to make that coat. The money poured into getting the coat made for Joseph. Only for Joseph, no one else. That robe wasn't just clothing, it was a symbol, a daily reminder to his brothers, you are not equal to him. And they saw it every single day. Imagine watching your younger brother get treated like royalty while you're treated like background noise. That kind of favoritism doesn't create love. It reminded them of their position in their father's life. But favoritism was only the beginning, because what looked like a small preference was sitting on top of something much deeper. A broken family before Joseph. See, this story didn't actually start with Joseph. It started long before him. It started with Jacob. Jacob loved Rachel more than Leah and did not try to hide it, creating a toxic environment for jealousy and hate to breed. Leah felt rejected. Her children felt it too. So when Joseph, Rachel's son, became the favorite, it felt like history repeating itself. Old wounds reopened, years of pain, years of comparison, and years of feeling second best. The other brothers weren't just angry, they were carrying years of rejection. Yes, Joseph didn't create that pain, but he became the face of it. And if that tension wasn't enough, something else was about to pour fuel on the fire. As if him being the favorite wasn't enough, he triggered them into taking action with his dreams. Joseph dreamed that he and his brothers were binding sheaves in the field, and suddenly, their sheaves bowed down to his. So what did Joseph do? He told them, instead of keeping quiet. They understood the meaning immediately. They would one day bow down to Joseph. In addition to everything else, they get to bow to him, and now they hated him even more. And if that wasn't enough to push them over the edge, he did it again. He had another dream. This time, the sun, the moon, 11 stars, all bowing down to him. And he told them again. This time, even his father was disturbed, because now it wasn't just about his brothers. It sounded like Joseph believed he would rule over the entire family. And in a culture where younger siblings were expected to honor older ones, this wasn't just bold and annoying, it was an insult. And Joseph complicated things with his arrogance. Here we ask ourselves, was Joseph arrogant or immature? Honestly, it's hard to say, but remember, he was only 17. At that age, most people don't understand timing or wisdom or when to stay quiet. When Joseph shared his dreams, he wasn't trying to start a war. He was young, excited, even a little naive. There was something about him, a kind of confidence that hadn't yet learned restraint. He didn't mean to sound arrogant, but that's exactly how it came across when he shared those dreams. Because sometimes, truth shared at the wrong time sounds like pride. When he spoke about his dreams, it sounded like certainty. He spoke like someone who expected greatness, like someone already above them. And his brothers? They weren't inspired. They saw arrogance, and they were triggered. But words alone weren't the only thing working against him. One time, when his father asked him to go check up on his brothers in the field, he brought back a bad report to his father. He spoke badly about their work ethic and behavior while they were supposed to be watching the sheep. He told on them, and nobody likes a snitch. Here's what the dynamic looks like from the brother's point of view. The favorite son, who already gets special treatment, is also exposing their mistakes. That doesn't build trust. That builds hostility. To make it worse, Jacob didn't correct Joseph. So in their eyes, Joseph could do no wrong. And at this point, the distance between him and his brothers was growing fast. There was something even deeper they couldn't ignore. Joseph wasn't like the others. There was something about him, something different. He had insight and visions. He was gifted. He could dream and understand things others couldn't. Even if they didn't fully understand it, it was very clear. He was going somewhere they weren't. They could sense it. And sometimes, people don't hate you because you're wrong. They hate you because you're different, because you remind them of what they're not. And when you combine that with everything else, it starts to look less like jealousy and more like fear. And finally, he threatened their inheritance and future. In ancient Israelite culture, the older brothers were supposed to lead. They were supposed to inherit more. They were supposed to matter most. But Joseph, the younger one, the dreamer, the favorite, his behavior suggested a reversal of the social order of things. He looked like he was about to take everything. He was coming for their position, authority, inheritance, and future. Jacob openly showed favoritism. He could decide to make Joseph his heir instead of Reuben, his first son. It was a perceived threat, yet it was real. They were scared, and fear, when left unchecked, turns into hatred. By now, this wasn't normal sibling rivalry anymore. At some point, Joseph wasn't just disliked, he was a problem that needed to be solved. So when the opportunity came, his brothers made a decision that would change everything. One day, his father asked him to go check up on his brothers in the field. They saw him coming, from a distance, and before he even reached them, they planned how they would kill him and tell Jacob a wild animal had attacked him. So they grabbed him, stripped off the precious robe his father had given him, and threw him into a pit. But the plan changed when they saw a caravan of Ishmaelite merchants passing by. And in that moment, they chose something worse than death. They sold him to the merchants, who resold him to Potiphar in Egypt, passing Joseph around like livestock. Despite the actions of Joseph's brothers leading to his becoming a slave, God had a hand in everything. Evil did not win. Beneath all that pain, something bigger was unfolding. Because this wasn't just a family story, this was God quietly setting a plan in motion. The dreams Joseph spoke about, they were glimpses of what God had already decided. And even though his brothers couldn't see it, every step they took against him was leading him exactly where he was meant to be. If you think this story ends in tragedy, you're wrong, because what happens next in Egypt is even more unbelievable. Because the same brothers who sold him will one day stand before him and bow to the ground before him. Subscribe now so you don't miss out.